Dog, I have no business being this happy, but it's probably because it's Tier List Tuesday. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day is going phenomenal, and if it isn't, well, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Speaking of such, like I said, it is Tier List Tuesday. And today, we're going to be going over the side deck tier list, talking about the best cards that should be in your sideboard, all the way down to everybody's favorite. Oh no, what are you doing, baby? Now, the information that I've gathered from the regionals last week has greatly affected this tier list. Let's go ahead and jump on in so we can talk about the perfecto cards. These are the cards that are extremely good in your sideboard. If you are siding these cards, not only does it align with a lot of the decks that have been topping, these cards are just really good inside of this particular format. Silver bullet cards are cards that are really effective at what they do. Sometimes they're cheeky cards that your opponent just doesn't see coming. Other times, these silver bullet cards are just really good cards in particular situations. Next is really good. These cards are just overall pretty decent cards to be able to side against some of the top meta decks. The could be better are cards that are situationally good, but only in a really specific situation that may not fit this meta. Of course, oh no, what are you doing, baby, is the cards that you should avoid at all costs. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on in. A pointer of the Red Lotus. Where would I put a pointer of the Red Lotus in this particular tier list? Well, in this format, where there are a lot of blowout cards like Lightning Storm and Raigeki running around, there's also amazing cards like Dark Ruler No More and Harpy's Feather Duster. Every single one of those great cards has one common weakness. They need to be activated in the main phase, and cards like a pointer of the Red Lotus can be activated in the draw phase or standby phase before those cards can be flipped. If your deck is immune to a card that needs to be activated in a particular phase, like the main phase or the battle phase, flipping up a pointer of the Red Lotus allows you to not only get the hand knowledge that you need, literally you get to map out your opponent's entire hand, provided that they don't have like draw cards or reinforcement of the army cards, but even then you get to see a lot of that. And then you get to banish a card for a duration of time and prepare for it on the back burner. I think that this card is extremely good if your deck is weak to those particular cards, and is a card that you definitely should consider siding. On the flip side, Blizzard is in, well, it's definitely not, oh no, what are you doing, baby, but it is in a could be better spot. If you are weak to cards like Raigeki and Dark Ruler No More, then do not play this card. Blizzard will bounce the card to your opponent's hand, but since there's no hard restrictions to the card, they'll just activate it again. Now, if you don't want your opponent using cards like Triple Tactics, Talon, or Lightning Storm, well, Blizzard says negate the activated effects of the card, not negate the activation. So if you're using Blizzard on those particular spell cards, your opponent won't be able to use it for the turn. This card is also pretty niche against field spells and face-up spells. It can stop cards, any card that says you can only activate one per turn, and does fairly decent against Fluendereese. But if you aren't necessarily looking for a particular card, because this card, like, it's niche, then you don't really need it. It's a card that could be better when we get more powerful spell cards that are hard once per turns. Moving on, Contact C. This is easily a, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Seriously, big dog, do not play Contact C in this meta. You will 100% regret it, and allow me to give you a scenario. Your opponent summons a monster to their side of the field and you give them the Contact C. Well, you just gave them two effect monsters. That's a Predator, Anaconda, Big Forehead. Well, let's say they summon a tuner monster to your side of the field and you give them the Contact C. That's a Hockley Fibers play. Thank you for contributing to it. Contact C works best against decks that need to be able to use the cards for specific cards, not when there's cards like Hockley Fabrics and Vert Anaconda, which are extremely generic. Right now, do not play Contact Cs, but they're less than $1 on TCG Player for supers, so I'd look into buying them. Alpha Master of the Beast is actually a solid side deck Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card is kind of bonkers. The reason why is because a lot of times players will use Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer to destroy a monster like Artifact Lancia and Artifact Scythe, And if you're not necessarily too hardly affected by that, this is an amazing card to play because it can follow up. Not only will it be able to bounce the Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, which is huge. If your opponent just has like a Wandering River Rider, this can attack over Wandering River Rider. It is 3,000 attack. This card is actually incredible inside of this format for those particular situations. And if you play a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast deck like Tri-Brigade, this card actually gets stronger. So many niche interactions for Alpha Master the Beast to be able to take advantage of. Next, I gotta say, Anti-Spell Fragrance is really good at what it does. It is easily a silver bullet Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card is completely bonkers, and allow me to explain why. Yes, this card doesn't stop quick play spell cards like Blizzard could, but the aforementioned spell cards it completely stops. Lightning Storm stopped completely. Dark Ruler No More stopped completely. Oh my, there are so many cards in this game. Raigeki completely stops, and those are cards that are being heavily sided right now in this particular format to be able to handle a board. Now, if your deck is extremely weak to those particular cards and you know that your opponent is siding it because it's a highly sided card, you can side these. And if your deck can deal with Backrow too, that's even a bonus. They'll never be able to pop off with those effects. Anti-Spell Fragrance is kind of sauce in this format and is a silver bullet to a particular situation. Moving forward, Artifact Lancia. You know, I really want to put Artifact Lancia here because Artifact Lancia actually has some hidden problems to it. I'm going to go ahead and put it in Perfecto because when it does pop off, it can completely win you the game. Against Fluenderies, you can just freely activate this card and you're going to make them pass their turn a lot of times. It's not good for a Fluenderies player. But the problem with this is because you can't immediately activate this card at any given time thinking you're not going to get punished. Players have developed a way to punish you for activating Artifact Lancia in the draw phase. And if you don't activate it in the draw phase, well, they can use monster effects like Rite of Aramesir, which means you kind of miss your opportunity to Lancia. On top of that, Lancia is really good against decks like Rocket Dragon Link, but only on their crackback. If they are establishing a board and you Lancia them, a lot of times they can actually play under it. Against Eldritch, I mean, you can stop them from banishing their trap cards, but what are you going to do about their board that they're making? That's kind of cracked for the deck. Against a lot of the top decks, Prank Kids, I mean, let's not talk about how Prank Kids is literally unaffected by this card. But when it does pop off, when you can resolve the effect of Lancia against a deck that is designed for, it is amazing, which is why it's a perfecto card in that particular situation. Artifact Sanctum. Silver bullet, guys. Silver bullet. If you are siding these cards against a deck like Dino, or maybe you are playing against Fluenderies, a quick way to get to it is just to Artifact Sanctum it to your side of the field. And what makes it even better is if you're a back row heavy deck and your opponent tries to destroy this, you get a destruction too. This card is correct sometimes in the correct deck. Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse could be better because Book of Eclipse flips all of your opponent's monsters face down. That's good for being able to answer a board. But if you're preventing your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh and flipping their monsters face down, what you're doing essentially is giving them more hand traps in their hand because, as you know, at the end phase, Book of Eclipse flips those monsters face up and gives your opponent's cards. So in that essence, Book of Eclipse would only be used on your turn, but there are other cards that can be played inside of this format that can deal with huge boards. So it's like, what are we doing with Book of Eclipse right now? It's not a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card, but yeah, giving your opponent more hand traps by disrupting their board, yeah, that's not a fair trade right now. Dark Ruler No More, guys. Perfecto. The Artifact Lock is still good, but if you're not afraid of the Artifact Lock, just Dark Ruler No More them and keep playing. It outs so many amazing boards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And is somewhat better than Droplet because you don't have to, designate cards to send to the graveyard. It can be activated under a Herald of Arclight. This card is perfect if your problem is dealing with boards, but not necessarily caring about Lancia or Scythe. Dankosekia will Danko wreck ya. It's don't do this, guys. Don't do this. Don't do this. There aren't a ton of back row heavy decks in the format, and on top of that, Dankosekia gets clapped by a lot of cards. Like, say, for example, Eldritch. Yes, Eldritch probably plays the most trap cards out of any, tier 1 Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. But you got to deal with the front row that they're making, the Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, the Wandering Griffin Rider, the Scythe Lock. Like, this ain't gonna work for you, big dog. But on the flip side, different dimension ground. Yo, this was spice. I've seen this in people's side decks. It is completely crazy right now. This card turns off cards like Droll and Lockbird and Effect Failure, as those cards need to be sent to the graveyard. So if you don't care about things being banished, flip this bad puppy up. But it also can hinder your opponent's turn, completely shut down some of the best decks' turns automatically. A Prank Kids player, they may want to think twice before, start summoning monsters under this particular board. Against a base player, tell them good luck resolving the effect of Red Rose Dragon or their Despot 001. Like, they're going to get banished, dog. You're not going to be able to get a lot of advantage for that. So this card is actually really, really good. Same thing with Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier is a really good card. You stop one particular mechanic. The problem with that is that Wandering Griffin Rider doesn't fall under Dimensional Barrier. But when you want to stop Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer from being summoned, from summoning itself, from doing all types of crazy things, from synchro summoning for a whole turn, it can turn off decks like Sword Soul and Tingye's entire turn. Yeah, this card's pretty good. Moving forward, for Dino Wrestler Pancreatops, I feel like Dino Wrestler Pancreatops is actually on a cusp of could be better and really good. And the reason why is because Dino Wrestler Pancreatops isn't an out to Wandering Griffin Rider unless the Griffins attack for some reason. It isn't out to the token if they don't have a Draco back on it. And a lot of times they may not equip that Draco back to it. And it does, like, if it's the only monster on your field and you're attacking into a DP, Dino Wrestler Pancreatops is 26. So it'll be 2,200 over your Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer's 2,100. So if it's the only monster on the field, you can literally prevent your opponent from using Phoenix Enforcer, because if they do and you trigger Pancreatops effect, then boom, there's nothing for them to destroy on your field. They have to destroy a card on their field. So in that particular situation, it does trade fairly nice. But how many times are you going to be put in a situation where you draw that one of Pancreatops and your opponent has a Phoenix Enforcer with multiple cards and you have no other cards to commit at that point in time? So it's I'm going to put it in good though, because it is still a decent card for being able to deal with Backrow. But if you did not play Pancreatops, it's not back in the days where this card was a must play. Droll and Lockbird. I actually don't think Droll and Lockbird is perfecto. I don't. And allow me to explain. Droll and Lockbird feels bad against Rocket Dragon Link, and allow me to explain why. These bad puppies main PSY-Framegear Gamma. So as soon as they activated Chaos Space, you go Droll, they go Gamma, you might as well go to game 2, okay? Against Flundereese, another deck that this card's supposed to do amazing against. If they open the shifter, well, there's a rhyme word that I can say with that, but not on YouTube. It's a card that has inherent counters in already the decks that it is good against. They main board Shifter in Flundereese. Rocket Dragon Link players main board Gamma from time to time. This is not that situation, but when it does pop off, Droll and Lockbird does in their turn, which is really, really amazing. Evenly matched. Oh my. I'm gonna say this again. As long as tokens exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're making boards without like true negations, if you evenly matched your opponent and they have a token on the field, they have to banish everything except for the token. You're welcome. Also, if you can find a way to turn off Mist Valley Apex Avian, this card is free too. This card is literally free if you turn off the Apex Avian against Flundereese. I have to say, where evenly matched genuinely comes up is if you're playing a deck that doesn't lose to Lancia, because then they won't side Lancia against you, and this card comes in even more clutch. Goes in match, definitely in a could be better situation. It's good against Flundereese. It's not too great against Rocket Dragon Link. They'll out it, trust me. They'll find ways. They're very innovative. Outledge players, I guess it could work. Not really. It's like, it just does mediocre in so many different situations. I wouldn't consider citing it unless you played a non-Backrow heavy deck that was all one attribute. Then you cite this card in, because you know Twin Twisters and stuff like that won't be coming. Gamseo, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. It gets over Phoenix Enforcer. It gets over the Wandering Griffin Rider with no problems. It gets over a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's decent, but the problem is it only gets over one problem, and you're giving them a card. So not only do you need to take away, I'm gonna put it in could be better, because not only do you need to take away that Kaiju immediately They'll use it for a vert. They'll use it for a Hockley fabrics. They'll use it for so many different plays. Like, so they'll be incredible with it if you give this to them. You gotta answer that Kaiju you give them. Lava Golem is a little better, slightly better, but I'm still gonna put it in could be better. It does get rid of 2 monsters, so it can get rid of Destiny Hero, Phoenix Forcer, and the Wandering Griffin Rider. The problem is Lava Golem is 3,000 attack, where the lowest Kaiju is 2,200 attack, and it costs you your normal summon. That's huge. The fact that it costs you your normal summon is huge against a lot of decks that kind of need their normal summon to be able to operate. I gotta say though, if you are a special summon heavy deck, then Lava Golem your opponent away. You don't need your normal summon, keep playing. Lightning Storm, easily a perfecto Yu-Gi-Oh card. Again, there aren't a ton of negations in the format. There's still negations, there's still Baron, there's still Herald, there's still Scarlight, Red Dragon, Archfiend, but a lot of times Lightning Storm solves a lot of those situations that you're gonna be in. It's kind of magical how this card works because it's good against front row and back row. Mistake is definitely in the could be better category if you're siding this card. I would assume that you're a deck that doesn't search, which means you're probably playing a back row heavy deck, which means that you're going to get smacked with Twin Twisters and Lightning Storms and stuff like that. Not a good idea. Same thing with Mystic Mind. Mystic Mind is not a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card. The problem is, it's a continuous card. So if you're playing those back row heavy decks, it's, you know, you're going to smacked with it, but it can be a really good card if you aren't. If you're just trying to buy some time, maybe you're playing Brain Kids, and want to buy some time to break your opponent's board, this card can definitely do it. And it prevents your opponent from hand trapping you from time to time. So it's a pretty good card. Necro Valley could be better. Could be better. Look, I know you guys love Necro Valley. Preventing your opponent from special summoning and touching the graveyard is amazing in this format. Problem with Necro Valley is good luck keeping this card face up. Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer will destroy this like this new tomorrow. Meaning you're going to need an out to Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer and then this card, and now you're just going to, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Gymnastics, and that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to Yu-Gi-Oh! Gymnastics when it comes to sideboarding cards. If your sideboard card needs another card to be able to operate, it ain't worth it at this point in time. Nibiru, 100% perfecto. If it's not in your main board, definitely play it in your sideboard. I actually really did miss Nibiru in my event that I attended to. Sideframe blocker. Oh God, don't do this. Don't waste your normal summon like this, big dog. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. In theory, it's Salesban, right? But Salesban's a spell card. Doesn't require you to normal summon. Salesban's a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's no, don't do it. Don't waste your normal summon on a side blocker, guys. Raigeki. Oh my God. Again, Lightning Storm, Raigeki, board wipes, Dark Ruler no more. If you open Dark Ruler no more and these are good. Obviously, these are still good by themselves, but if you open Dark Ruler and these against like Based, you win. Like, it's just like Based can't handle losing its entire board. It doesn't have like the backbone to be able to keep playing. And somebody actually told me that in a group, and I kind of like, what is a backbone? Now I completely understand. So shout out to you if you watch these videos. Red Reboot, it's good against those rogue back row heavy decks, but again, there's only one great back row heavy deck, so you could get away with not siding this card, but then a back row player would be like, yeah, don't side this card, don't do it. So it's an interesting spot. Rivalry of the Warlords, still in a could be better category. It still fall under the same restrictions as Gozen. If you're playing a back row heavy deck, obviously they're going to be siding in the sauce against you. Don't do it. Shared Ride, I feel, is a silver bullet. This is actually a better version of Droll because it allows you to draw the outs that you need. It literally is an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh card. I actually probably should have sided this card because this card will give you exactly what you need to beat your opponent in a need to keep searching. So this card is really, really good against those search heavy decks like Rocket, Dragon Link, like Flu Under Reese. It's pretty good against Flu Under Reese. Like, and you know, again, it plays through Shifter. Like, obviously you can't use it if you're going second, but it's still a great card. Silencio Graveyard. Not right now, guys. Not right now. Your time will come. That's probably one of the best graveyard disrupt cards, but not right now. The discard, it stops DPE, but we got better ways to stop DPE. It's all right. Solemn Judgment fits in the good category. I actually thought it would be a lot. No, yeah, we'll put it here because Solemn Judgment stops this. It stops this. It stops this. It stops this. Good luck stopping a monster effect, though. And trading half your life points to stop a summon, you better win the game. That's all I gotta say. This card is good what it does if you're back row reliant and you know your opponent's gonna be siding in Or if you're front row lighting, you know your opponent's going to be siding in those really, really tough cards. Keep in mind, if you do use Solemn Judgment on Lightning Storm, they can activate another one, and that won't feel good. Summon limit, definitely could be better situation. You're going to need to be able to protect this because, again, if you're playing Summon limit, odds are you're going to be playing a, Backrow heavy deck, so not going to work as well as you want it to be. And then super polymerization. Oh my God, boys. Super poly is super sauce. I can only say it so many times. Super poly is super sauce. Hey, super sauce. Hey, Prank Kids, super poly that thing. Any deck that makes Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, and if they leave the vert, super poly for free. Bet on the floor and Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Well, there's a guilty gear for that. Super polymerization literally is cracked in its format and will lead you to victory, especially if you're playing a deck like Despia or Invoked. Oh my God, it's like, if you can make cards with your opponent's cards and always make this card live, you doing good. There can be only one. I actually have an asterisk for there can be only one. It is in a could be better spot. If you're playing a back row heavy deck and you're going to side this card in, not happening. But let's say hypothetically, you are playing a deck that doesn't, like, let's say you're playing Invoked. They're not going to be siding in Twin Twisters. Like, no. But you side this card. Oh my God. This card is cracked against a lot of the strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is ridiculously good at preventing them from setting up. This card is, oh, it's good. It's really good at where it's really good. I feel like this one's a lot better is because there's obviously a dedicated deck for it. Where these two decks, I can't think of any like top tier competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck. So obviously this would change if you had a situation like Invoke doesn't play a lot of back row and you can feel that there's a matchup that you can take advantage with. But I know there's tons of matchups, especially Flundereese. This is like free. This is free. This is the freest win that you'll ever have against them. You're going to win for this. Thunder King Ryo. I want to put it here. I'm not going to lie. I want to put it here. I want to put Thunder King Ryo here, but Thunder King Ryo in theory seems really good. In theory, it stops your opponent from searching. That can shut down their entire turn. And it can stop a critical special summon. The problem is, that's theory. What do you do when your opponent activates a Rite of Airbase here? The token is 2,000. The good news is that you can actually stop Water Enchanters of the Temple. Like, that's good. But I don't think that it's worth it. I genuinely don't think that Thunder King Ryo is worth it. You boomers, I want it to be. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it, though. I'm going to give it a little more testing. Maybe I could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Token Collector. You can mainboard this card sometimes. Depending on your event, you can mainboard this card and get rid of it. Tokens are everywhere, guys. I'm going to put it in Perfecto because this card is amazing where it's amazing at. And tokens are really good in the format. Trap Eater, I'd have to say the problem with these cards is like Phoenix Enforcer can destroy it. Phoenix Enforcer can destroy it. Phoenix Enforcer can destroy these two. Phoenix Enforcer can't destroy Skill Drain. If Skill Drain's already face up on the field, Phoenix Enforcer ain't doing much. You know what I mean? Trap Eater can actually solve that. And Trap Eater is actually a level 4 tuner, so it's a Hockley Fiber target, right? Right? I'm trying to talk myself into it. It probably is back here, but I'm going to take a bold take with Trap Eater. If you're playing against, a back row heavy meta or a flip face up trap heavy meta, just use this card to eat it. You get a Hockley Fiber target, you get a Vert target, and you get a level 4 tuner for your Sword Soul deck. I mean, yeah, certain decks can definitely take full advantage of this card. And it's, oh my God, I love that it's a tuner and a free monster. But again, you have to really be committed to your opponent playing those continuous cards. And as you can see, they're probably not going to be playing a lot of those continuous cards. Twin Twisters. Both Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, and Harpy's Feather Duster. I don't know why any of those on there, or not all of them are on there, but they're all perfect. They're all perfect. All of them are amazing. If you are siding in Cosmic Cyclone, make sure that your deck does not lose the Lancia. You're golden if you're not. If you don't lose the Lancia, you're golden. Because your opponent won't be siding in Lancia against you, and they won't be Lanciaing your Cosmic Cyclone and getting so much free value. But Twin Twisters is good. Even if you have to Twin Twisters for one, it's still a lot of the times good. This card is actually really good at Flundereese too. And they have the map and they have their trap card. If you can get rid of it beforehand, you're golden. Great Beast of the Sky, please hear my cry. Has the same problem as Lava Golem. Same problem as Lava Golem in the Kaijus, guys. Actually, it's a bigger problem. This is, oh no, what are you doing, baby? I forgot about this sphere mode. You can't target this card, or you can't attack this card. So more often than not, they're going to keep that sphere mode. You're giving them a card to make Vert Anaconda or to make Hockley Fabrics. The flip side is hopefully if you summon this card, you're getting rid of those particular cards. You know what I mean? Hopefully you see a Wandering Griffin, a DP and a token, and you give them this. And you're like, yo, but again, you're giving them plays to be able to start all back over. And then this card, oh my God. This is the reason why I don't think Lancia is as good. This is the reason why I don't think Droll is as good. This card is cracked. A lot of players are starting to sideboard PSY-Framegear Gamma in their deck because players will shotgun cards like Dimensional Shifter. They'll shotgun this artifact Lancia. They'll Droll you with no monsters on the field. Players are playing ultra disrespectful right now. Go ahead and Gamma them, get 2 free bodies. One of them's a tuner. Make Hockley Fabrics. You can even turn your driver into a Link Spider and then go into Vert. Like it's ridiculous how amazing this card is in the format right now. It's incredible. You definitely should consider siding, if not maining it. And any deck that can play this to the max gets so much advantage. And that is all that I have for the side deck tier list. Of course, if you want to see more amazing content, you can go ahead and check out these videos, but also be sure to hit that subscribe button and that like button. Let me know that I'm appreciated as I catch you on the next one.